All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is February 15th. It is a Thursday. This is the second video I've done since the kind of long hiatus that we've had for the past month. But these videos are still going on, so please make sure you get on if you do miss time. On my Canvas page, there is a note sheet that I've uploaded to that. I would like you to open that up if you haven't gotten a note sheet yet from me in class. Download that, get that open, and print that out for yourself. That way you can keep up with these notes, because we're going to be doing notes, videos, on other stuff throughout the next few days here. That's going to keep you on top of things. So stay on top of this stuff with these videos here, and keep up the Canvas as well, and look at some of those resources I put up there. All right, but for today's bell ringer, we look at the appeasement of Hitler in Nazi Germany in 1939. We look at some of the lessons that could be learned from that in this scenario. So obviously we read the children's book called If You Give a Moose a Muffin, and you watched the video the past few days, the first 40 minutes or so, about the appeasement of Hitler, about giving into someone's demands. With Hitler and his demands, obviously there's some major problems with giving into those demands, but I want you to figure that out in your bell ringer, and write down what you believe could be a lesson that is learned for future reference by giving into by giving into a dictator's demands. I'm sorry for the coughing. So do that to the best of your abilities here, and so if you think about that question, you'll be good to go. Top of the note sheet, we get some notes here about the video. Part of the Sudetenland that we're talking about is the outside portion of Czechoslovakia. There's some outer regions that connect directly with Germany that mostly 50% or more of German-speaking people, culturally German individuals. Hitler wants that territory back. He has to meet with Chamberlain to figure that out. Now, Chamberlain agrees that you can take this area, but Hitler must promise as well that he must not go any farther. 6 months after he makes this promise to Neville Chamberlain, Hitler decides to take his military into the rest of Czechoslovakia and take over the entire country. All right, so if you have these notes, make sure you copy these down. So this happens 6 months later, this event here. All right, after this promise, 6 months later, this event happens. Hitler goes through Czechoslovakia without a single shot being fired. You know, that gives you an idea of the kind of willingness that Czechoslovakia was to be invaded and taken over. As a result, Britain and France had to prepare for war. There's nothing they could have done except to prepare for war. All right. If Poland gets attacked, they will go and support Britain. They will support Poland. Britain and France will support Poland in that case. All right. So that's kind of the layout here of this scenario. Now we continue onward with bookwork. The notes packet has the page numbers and has the questions for you. All right. Before we get to that, I showed this map here showing how Germany, allied with Italy here, has annexed Austria, has taken parts of Czechoslovakia, these outer layer areas where my mouse is right now. This kind of gives you an idea of the Sudetenland territories. And he takes that, but then invades further into Czechoslovakia and takes up, and even gets the rest of it by 1939. At that point, Poland's the next target, because obviously he wants to attack Britain and France, but he wants to make sure his entire borders to his east are secured. So that's something he has to figure out. So he wants to get Poland, and then he can take Britain and France. So when we read the Invasion of Poland section, there's the Invasion of Poland, and then there's a blue heading. Excuse me. It's called Hitler's Pact with Stalin. All right. Two questions I have there, and they're both in kind of an order that gives you space to provide answers. What was Hitler's major problem to the east, and how did he deal with it temporarily? Pause this video right now to find those answers on your own. I will give the answers shortly, but I really want you to go through the process of finding those answers yourself before I review. So pause the video, and then once you get done with finding those answers, hit play again, and then I'll continue forward. So pause now. All right. For the rest of you, not for the rest of you, but if you got this done, here's some answers that we got. The major problem to the east, if I go back to this map here, is the Soviet Union. And you can see Hitler surrounded by people that could potentially become his enemies, both in the Eastern and the Western Front. He knows during World War II that he does not want to push the Soviet Union nor France at the same time. He wants to consider and take both separately. So take this side first and then this side. His problem is if he takes Poland without winning the Soviet Union, Stalin may get pretty upset about that, and he may attack Germany as well, which is something that Hitler does not want yet. He does not want to fight the Soviet Union just yet. He knows he has Britain and France here, and these are the two areas that he wants to take care of first, after Poland, and then he'll go to the Soviet Union then afterwards. He doesn't want to fight a two-frontal war. That's something he's trying to avoid. All right? So the second part of the question deals with how did he deal with it temporarily? Well, before Hitler attacks Poland, he signs a non-aggression pact, which was supposed to last for 10 years with the Soviet Union. Stalin agrees to it. They say, we don't want a war either. We just want to live our lives and be separate from you. So they sign a non-aggression pact. All right. That's how Hitler deals with the Soviet Union temporarily. He can attack Poland without the Soviet Union getting afraid that they might be next. All right. Pretty simple there for that. Now, when Hitler does begin to attack Poland, the rate of the attack is something that is very, very similar. Blitzkrieg is the way that they do it. All right. Blitzkrieg in German means lightning war. Now, we also hear the term blitz from football. It's a defensive strategy to overwhelm the quarterback at the line of scrimmage. Read through this section of lightning war. Again, I'll let you pause it here after I explain it. Answer these 3 questions, and we'll get these answers. And then there's a video that I'll post up on Canvas you can watch, which pretty much makes up the rest of our class. All right. So pause it right now. Read this page, Lightning War 576, and those 3 questions will be answered. So pause. All right. By now, hopefully you finished these 3 questions. The German army, why were they better at this time period? According to the textbook, the Germans from the weapons standpoint were far more superior. They had the machine guns, they had the artillery, they had the tanks, they had the planes, they had everything they needed to completely overwhelm an enemy, and that's the main goal of why the German army was better. Now, with those weapons, what makes Blitzkrieg so effective? It's this strategy you see here on the right-hand side. The fact that they attack with really quick movements. You don't see many infantry troops leading the way with this Blitzkrieg attack. You see tanks, you see mobile units, you see planes. You don't see anyone outside of a vehicle. No one on their 2 legs is leading this attack. All right. So what they do is the mobile units, the tanks and the planes and all these areas, they strike where they need to strike to weaken the enemy, so they can surround it. So they penetrate in the enemy, and then they encircle it to where the infantry then can come in without having to worry about flanking or anything else, that they can deal and mop up the attack afterwards. So Blitzkrieg is really effective not only in its effectiveness and its strength and its speed, but it's also with the surprise ability. Like, you have no clue what's coming, when it's coming, and how much is coming with this Blitzkrieg. And that's the same strategy in football. You want to try to, sometimes you want to disguise blitzes, and you want to disguise getting to the quarterback to confuse them and confuse the defensive, offensive linemen. But it's so effective because of the speed and also of its effectiveness with its use of tanks and planes. They have a plane that's called the Stuka dive bomber. You'll see it in the video. Pretty much its main job is not to drop the bomb at level flight. It will do a nosedive down, find its target with the plane, and then what'll happen is it'll drop its bomb, which the bomb will continue on its way down as almost like an accurate targeting system, and then the plane will level out, and the plane will continue flying. You'll get a new bomb, come back and get another one. With those Stuka dive bombers, they're able to do some heavy damage to a lot of the defenses before the tanks even hit. So when the tanks do hit, obviously the defenses are weakened, and then the infantry can come in and not deal with any losses. So, now how does the Soviet Union react to this? Because obviously we went here that they don't want to deal with the Germans yet, so they signed a non-aggression pact. Well, secretive terms within the non-aggression pact stated that Germany gets Western Poland, pretty much this line right down here, and the Soviet Union gets everything east of it. So, Soviets invade, they take this territory here, alright? They begin their invasions and they take these areas, but they take eastern Poland as well. Germany gets, Western Poland, and they are fine with that truce. They go their separate ways, alright? And that's pretty much all we have for today. So, with the invasion of Poland and then the Blitzkrieg aspect here, that the Soviet Union reacted by taking eastern Poland, and you gotta feel bad for Poland here. You're getting attacked by the Germans on one side and by the Soviets on the other. They don't really have the military to take on, both these armies, let alone one. So, it's really, really bad, for the Polish at this time period. However, they do try to put up a fight. The government eventually relocates itself to another country, while there are still some other soldiers that are able to flee to France to help lead the fight against the Germans in France, not in Poland. All right. So that's everything we got to today. Tomorrow we will look at the war in the West, and that's all we'll have. And so you can continue the notes at that point. But make sure you get those 5 questions answered, and the notes also at the very top of the notes packet answered as well. Tomorrow we'll really hit the ground with the notes and hopefully some of the videos as well. But yeah, check the video out of Blitzkrieg on my Canvas page, and you can watch that to kind of finish up everything that you wanted to state, that we kind of talked about here, so you can visualize everything that's happening here. All right? Everyone have a fantastic day. Bye.